Last time we had a lesson, we were working on some algebra, and I noticed that actually some of you were really kind of getting into the solving equations and the changing the subject and things like that. So I wanted to spend today working a little bit more on further solving equations, looking at some different types, solving equations with brackets, with fractions, and then we're going to move into forming and solving linear equations, which is really kind of getting into the nitty-gritty of what exam questions will be like. Being able to actually form your own equations is really important. So let's go straight into that. So starting off with solving equations with brackets, if we have something like this, we've got an equation here with, I'm just going to, okay. Okay, so sorry. So if we're solving an equation with brackets, we have actually got two methods we can use, and I want to show you both methods, and then I'll talk you through those in a moment. So the method I would always use with a question like this would actually be to begin by dividing by this number here, this number 2. And I'm going to do that because it just keeps everything nice and straightforward and simple. So if I divide both sides here by 2, then I'm left with x plus 3 is equal to 4. I've divided by 2 here because what I actually have on this side is 2 multiplied by the bracket x plus 3. And you can see here that we've got 8, which is the same as 2 multiplied by 4. So by dividing both sides by 2, I'm just simplifying that down to x plus 3 equals 4. And then the next step, which is what we worked on last week, so it shouldn't be anything new here, to solve this part, we're going to subtract 3 from both sides on here, and we get the answer x equals 1. So that's one method for solving an equation with brackets. And I want to show you I'll show you two methods on actually the same question here. So I've actually got the same thing here. I'll show you. First of all, I'll show you that method I just did again. So I'm going to do the exact same thing again. I'm going to start by dividing by this number in front of the brackets here. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Okay, remember I'm just using red to show my working. So this is literally just me showing my working here. And then in black, I will write the next part. So dividing by 2, I've got rid of that 2 on that side. So I have 3x plus 1 on this side. And then 14 divided by 2, I can actually do that bit of maths there. So I've got 7 on this side here. I can then use red again to show my working. You don't always have to do this part, but it's just easy while you're learning to show your working this way. And also really helps you if you do make any mistakes, helps you find those mistakes. So minusing that 1 there, I've got 3x on this side. Subtracting 1 on the other side, I've got 6. And then, as we did last week, we can just solve that by dividing by 3 on both sides. And we get that x equals 6 divided by 3, which is 2 here. Don't forget you can always check your work as well. So you can check your work by actually substituting that 2 back in. 3 times 2 there is 6, plus 1 is 7, and timesing by 2 is 14. Okay, so you can always check your work once you've done in a question like that. So that was method 1. The other method which you might have seen is to actually start by expanding the brackets. And we have done a bit of work in a previous lesson on expanding brackets. It's where we just multiply both parts of the bracket by the number outside. So we've got 2 times 3x, which is 6x. And we've got 2 times 1, which is 2. And that's equal to 14. And after expanding the bracket, all we actually have now is to solve this just as we did last week. Last week, we actually practiced solving linear equations like this because we got rid of the brackets by expanding them. So now all I need to do is to go through my technique, subtract the 2. I should have written that last line in black there, sorry. Subtract that 2 there, okay. 6x equals 12. And then the next line divide by 6 so that x is equal to 2. Okay, so you can see exactly the same question, exactly the same answer, but 2 methods, and it's entirely up to you, really. You can choose the method that you find easiest. I personally think this one is easier because you get rid of that number straight away. Sometimes this one is also quite a nice method, but sometimes obviously you can end up with quite big numbers here. So, you know, you are kind of inviting more room for error if you have bigger numbers here. But really, it's entirely up to you. Whichever method you feel more comfortable with is the one that you should choose to do that. Okay. So I'm just going to go through a few more examples. I'll do both methods in my examples. Okay, so having a look at this question here then. If we were choosing, I can see here that I've got 5 multiplied by this bracket, 3x minus 2. So if I choose to actually divide both sides by 5, or 20 divided by 5 is 4, so that's a really nice, simple way of getting rid of this 5 here. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. And then we've got 3x minus 2 there. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve this just as we did last time. So plus the 2, plus the 2. Plus the 2 on both sides there, and we have got 3x equals to 6. And then dividing both sides by 3, we have got x is equal to 2. Okay. And sorry, I'm just going to pause for a minute because I've just seen in the chat that somebody has said they can't hear any sound. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. If anyone is struggling to hear me, let me know. Yeah. Okay. Okay then. Hopefully that's been fixed then. Okay. All right, good. So I'll move on to the next one. Okay.
Sorry, I'll just say really quickly, if someone's struggling with their sound, you can message me directly and I'll try to help you in the chat while Amber goes on, and I'll let Amber know.
There was a message in the chat, Robin. So if you would like to, if you could maybe just check.
Yeah, I don't see a message about it. They may have messaged you directly.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So it was a while ago, so I think maybe we're okay now. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to show you the other method, just so that anyone who prefers the brackets method, and also it's really good to practice just to keep working with expanding your brackets as you are practicing your algebra. So what we can do here is we can actually multiply out these brackets first. 4 multiplied by 2x is going to be 8x. And then we've got 4 multiplied by 5, which is going to be plus 20. I don't know if you remember, but when we when we did the expanding brackets, one of the most common mistakes is forgetting to multiply the second part of the bracket. So really got to remember to multiply the second part of the bracket by the 4 as well. That's equal to 12. We are going to have some negatives now because we're going to go ahead and subtract this 20. So we're going to subtract this 20 from both sides. Okay. 12 minus 20 is going to be minus 8. So now we are going to do negative 8 divided by 8, dividing both sides by 8. Okay. And x is equal to minus 1. Okay, so hopefully that just shows you once again the 2 different methods that I've used. It's only that very first step that it's different. Once you've gone past that very first step, you're just following your normal approach to solving linear equations, which we worked on last time. So hopefully it's just that first step that's new so far for you today. Okay. Let's have a go at a couple more and then I'll give you some to do yourself. So I'm going to do this one using the fraction method or dividing method at the beginning. So I'm going to start by dividing this by 5 and this by 5. Okay, so divide, and I hope you can all see the reason why I'm dividing by 5 is because obviously 5 is this number in front of the bracket here. So dividing by 5 there leaves me with just 3 minus 2x on this side. Dividing by 5 here leaves me with 2 on this side. 10 divided by 2 divided by 5 equals 2. And then my next step is going to be to subtract this 3. Now, this bit is a little bit something you have to be really careful with. When you minus this 3 away, because that's basically what we need to get rid of in order to get x by itself, we are not going to lose this negative sign here, okay? This negative sign belongs with the 2x. It does not belong with this 3 in front of this 3. This 3 is actually a positive 3, so we're going to subtract it. So we're going to minus 3 on this side as well. So we are now going to have minus 2x is equal to 2. So just being really aware, don't lose that negative sign when you take away the number in front of it there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this minus 2 by dividing by minus 2. And divide by minus 2 on both sides. So x is equal to negative 1, okay? 2 divided by minus 2 is minus 1. And I just want to do one more like that, where you've got your x as the second part of the bracket there, just so you can see that happen one more time. Okay, I'm going to do the same method. I'm going to start by dividing by 4. Okay, so we've got 4 dividing by 4 on both sides. We're going to get rid of this. So we've got 5 minus x is equal to, and 16 divided by 4 on this side is 4. And then our next step is going to be, again, to subtract this 5 away. And again, be super careful not to lose the minus sign in front of the x. So I'm going to subtract that 5 away from both sides. So we're going to have minus x is equal to negative 1. And then if minus x is equal to negative 1, then we could treat this as minus 1 times x and divide by minus 1 if we wanted. Or we could just kind of use common sense and see that if negative x is negative 1, then positive x must be positive 1 there. So our final answer is x is equal to 1. Okay, now I've gone through quite a lot of examples quite quickly there. I just wanted to show you a variety of examples. Does anyone have any questions or want me to go back and go over any of those in a little bit more detail before we do some practice?
Yeah. I have one question.
Yeah, okay.
For example, like 5x minus 2x is equals to 10. Where do you get the 3 minus 3?
This one here?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually the same as like positive 3. It doesn't say positive 3, but it means plus 3, okay? Yeah. So to get rid of a plus 3, we have to basically do the opposite thing. And the opposite thing of plus 3 is taking away 3. So it
is that always you have to be taking the number without the x?
Yes. So we're always going to subtract the number away from this one. So we could actually rewrite this if we wanted. We could rewrite this as minus 2x plus 3 equals 2. It means the same thing. We've just taken the minus 2 and put it in front.
Yeah.
And of course, this plus 3 is in the way. I always tell my students to think of the x as like, if you remember playing the game Pass the Parcel when you were younger, and you have kind of a gift in the middle, and then you unwrap all the layers to get to the gift. I always say, think of the X as as that gift, and you've got to unwrap the layers. So the X is actually wrapped up by this -2 and by this +3. And in order to get to the X, you have to unwrap it by just taking away the things that are there. So we're going to do the opposite operation. Now, the opposite of adding 3 is subtracting 3. And the opposite of timesing by -2 is dividing by -2. Does that help answer your question, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, we did quite a lot of work on this last lesson. So there is a recording of that one. So we can direct you to that recording, and you can watch that recording if you want, because we spent quite a lot of time doing this last time. So hopefully that helps a little bit anyway with the explanation. Are there any other questions?
Yes. I wanted to find out, where can we find the recording of the previous lesson?
It's on the forum.
Okay.
And I think, Robin, you emailed it out.
Yeah, if you're in this class, you should, every time the recording gets posted, you should have an email that comes to you automatically that says the new forum, the new forum post that says the next recording is up. So
maybe
yeah,
Robin, you could put the link to the last one and today's one.
What I'll do is I'll get the link to the forum. Do you know where the forum is in your course?
No.
So if you go to the course page, at the very kind of front section, top of the page of the course, when you go down, you'll see general forum to discuss all things maths. And I'll just interject here. I am literally right now in the process of redesigning that first section of the page, because there's a lot of things that get lost there.
Okay.
So it's going to be more clear in the future, but the forum is there and they get posted there every week. So I can find the link for you, but it would be really good for you to know where the forum is, because that's where all the recordings are for all of the all the classes we've done so far.
Okay.
So you just log into Cloudport, go to your main course page, you'll scroll down and you'll see it's at the bottom of the top section, introduction, that says general forum to discuss all things maths.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have one more question though. So with the 5 and then the 3 minus 2x that's in the bracket, and then divided it by 5. Did you say 5 multiplied by 3 and then you get that answer? Then 5 multiplied by negative 2x, you get that answer, then divide all of that by 5.
You could do that. So you could do the method of multiplying out instead if you wanted, but I didn't. I actually just divided by this. So I actually skipped the method of multiplying the brackets out, and I've just gone straight to, because this is essentially 5 times everything in this bracket. So what I've done is I've just divided by 5 to get rid of it completely. And then I'm left with a simpler equation, 3 minus 2x is 2. Yeah. You could definitely do that instead by multiplying out the brackets. And I'll just quickly show you that method, just so you see it. So if you were to multiply out the brackets here, you would end up with 15, because 5 times 3 is 15, minus 10x equals 10. And then you would just solve this as a linear equation. So then you would subtract 15 from both sides. So you'd have minus 10x is 10 minus 15, which is minus 5. Have I done something wrong here? And then x is, I must have done something wrong here. Then 5 divided by 10 equals 1/2. Is that right?
Would it have made sense to take the 15 over to the 10, then we'd have 10 minus 15, and then the negative 10x on the other side, and then negative 10 divided by negative 15.
Sorry, right, so with this method here, so we've got 15, so we've subtract the 15 next from both sides. 10 minus 15 is minus 5.
Minus 5, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got minus 10x. And then we would divide by 10, minus 10.
So the x is still half.
So x is 1/2.
No.
Is that the same as what we got last time?
No.
No.
I think that's.
So last time we did 5 times 3 minus 2x equals 10. We divided by 5 first, so we've got 3 minus 2x equals 2. We subtracted the 1, so we've got minus 2x equals minus 1. And then we divided by the minus 2, so we've got x equals 1/2. Oh yeah, we do have the same answer. It should be the same. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I think the answer we get was x equals to minus 1.
Did I do something wrong with the last one?
Yeah, but this one you are giving x equals to half.
Yeah, it should definitely be x is a half. So I'm sorry.
Why?
It should definitely be x is a half. That's the correct answer. Let's have a look. Let me go through it one more time then.
I'm going to just interject really quickly,
because,
if you don't mind, that Amber's got COVID, you guys.
I'm sorry.
We should have said at the beginning, like, it's absolutely fine. We'll work through, but I felt like that was fair. Because you're such a trooper for being here, and it's not easy.
No, I am sorry. I realized I must have made an error with the last one. So let me just see if I can figure out which. So we are going to start with dividing by 5. Okay. So we're going to have 3 minus 2x here, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. Then we're going to subtract. I have a feeling last time I might have said 10 divided by 5 is 5, which is very embarrassing. And if I did, I'm sorry. So 2 minus 3 is going to be negative 1. So we've got minus 2x. Subtract this 3 from both sides is minus 1. And then, yes, you're right, dividing by minus 2, our answer is going to be x equals 1/2 on that side there. So my apologies, I did make a mistake with that last one. And thank you for pointing that out. Very sorry, everyone. Okay.
Negative and then become positive.
Are we ready to go ahead and have a go at some of these?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I'm going to put some up now. Okay, so some of you haven't actually had lessons with me yet, so I'm going to explain how this works. I give you a question, and in a moment, I'm going to launch a poll. You simply have to write whether you think the answer is A, B, C, or D. Okay, so we have got, what is x if 2 multiplied by x plus 1 equals 6? Take pen and paper, work this out, use the method that you feel most comfortable working it out, and I'm going to launch a poll in just a moment to give you a chance to get the answer. Oh, Tabitha, thank you. You've just explained. I forgot to minus the 3 last time. Okay. I'm sorry, everybody. Thank you for getting that answer for me. And I'm going to launch the poll now. Hopefully you can see it Is your answer going to be A, B, C, or D?
I think the poll pops up over their window. So if you can do a repeat of the answers for people, usually that's helpful.
Oh, okay, so A is 3, B is 2, C is 1, and D is 4. And I've got 6 people answered already, so that's really awesome. And so far, 83% of people getting the correct answer, so that's awesome. I'm going to end that now so you can see. And the answer is B, that's 2.
Wow.
So 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then we subtract the 1 and we have x equals 2 there. So well done, everybody. I'm going to put another one up now. So we've got 3 multiplied by the bracket x minus 1 is equal to 12. Give you a few minutes to think what this one might be. And I will launch the poll now. So 3 times x minus 1 is equal to 12. Is it A4, B6, C5, or D2? Okay. All right. Again, we've got the same thing. We've got 83% people getting it correct. So well done. And our correct answer this time is C5. So we did have one person make an error there. So what I'll do is just go through it quickly. We've got 3 times x minus 1 equals 12. Dividing both sides by 3. We've got x minus 1 equals 4. And then adding the 1 to both sides, x is equal to 5. Okay. Let's put another one up, see if we can get. Okay, so now we've got 2 times x plus 3 equals 16. Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 3? Or is it 8? Okay. Hopefully that's been long enough. I'm going to launch that poll. There we go. Okay.
Oh.
So the question was 2 times x plus 3. We're going to begin by dividing by 2 and then subtract that 3. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Then subtract that 3. The correct answer should have been B5. And 7 people answered this time. So we've got an extra person participating. That's great. And 86% correct answers. So really good to see it. Okay. So once again, don't forget to divide by the 2 first and then deal with what's inside the brackets. So then you remove that 3. Okay. If you weren't in here for our session last time, you will find this more challenging because it is building on what we did last time. So please don't worry if you are finding this more challenging. Hopefully watching the recording from last time will help. Okay, so here's one more. One extra step to do here. Okay, hopefully that's enough time. Hoping I'm giving you enough time here. There you go.
Oh,
So A was 4, B was 8, C was 9, and D is 3. So lots to think about in this one. We need to divide by the 3. We need to subtract the 1 and divide by the 2. Brilliant. 7 of you have participated. Again, we have 86% correct, so well done. Correct answer this time was A4. So again, we needed to divide by the 3 first, then minus the 1, and then divide by this 2. So dividing by this 3, then subtracting this 1, and then dividing by the 2. Remember, we're working from the outside in. Okay, so now we've got one where we've got the X on the other side. Okay, so remember to begin by dividing by the 5 and then subtract the 6. And then remember to think about your minus sign here. Think carefully, we've got minus X. A little bit more tricky, this one. I will launch that now. Okay, brilliant. We've got 6 people have answered, and there are 2 answers that have been given, which I was expecting. 4 of you have given the correct answer, and a couple of you have not given the correct answer, but I was expecting a couple of people to do that. So I will just go through this one. So 5 times 6 minus X is equal to 15. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by 5 because we need to remove this 5 here. So we'll have, get rid of the 5 on both sides by dividing. 6 minus X, 15 divided by 5 is 3. Now, the next thing is to remove this 6. So we're going to have to minus the 6, and we're minusing the 6 on this side as well. So we've got minus X is equal to minus 3. And then, of course, because negative X is equal to minus 3, X is equal to positive 3. So well done to the 4 people that got that correct. That's really, really awesome. Totally understandable. If you put minus 3 there, just make a note to yourself. You have you've dropped that minus sign here. Okay, so when you remove this 6, be careful not to drop the minus sign there. Remember that it's minus X on this side, so you are going to then have to change it to a positive X to get the correct answer. Okay. So one more like that, just to have a go. Same thing, different numbers. Let's try and aim for everyone to get this one. Okay. Hopefully that's enough time. I'll give you the poll now. Let's have a go. Lots of correct answers coming in really quickly. That's awesome to see. Well done. Okay. 5 people have answered. We have 80% correct. That's really good. I will just go through it one more time for those of you that didn't answer. I probably didn't give you enough time. I apologize for that. Okay, so we'll start with dividing by 2. Dividing by 2 on this side is going to give us 8 minus x equals, dividing by 2 on this side, minus 2. Then we're going to subtract this 8. So minus this 8 from both sides, we're going to have minus x is minus 2 minus 8, which is minus 10. And so positive x then is going to be equal to positive 10. So the correct answer there was D. So well done to 80% of you which got that right. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's move on to looking at some other things. Now, the method that we've been doing is really, really useful to apply to solving equations with fractions, because we're going to use the same thing for something like this. Whereas before, we just had a bracket. Sorry. Okay, before we had a bracket and we had multiplied by 2 or multiplied by something. Now we have the whole expression divided by something. And so because the whole thing has been divided by something, we're going to start by multiplying it up, okay? So to get rid of that divided by 2, to get rid of that fraction, we are going to times both sides by the 2. So if we times both sides by 2 here, we're left with x minus 3 on this side, and we're left with 5 times 2, which is 10 on this side. And then if we finish that by adding 3 to both sides, we get x equals 13. Okay, so we'll just do a couple more like that. Here's one. We're going to begin by multiplying both sides by 5, multiplying this side by 5 simply gets rid of the fraction. Multiplying this side by 5, we get 2 times 5, which is 10. Okay, so 3x minus 2 equals 10. And then the next step is simply solving it just as we've been doing. Add the 2, so we get 3x equals 12. And then divide by the 3, and we get x equals 4. So we can see that that technique we were using is really useful when it comes to fractions, because it's the same technique, okay? And here's another similar question. Feel free to have a go on your own if you want. I will work through it as well. So start by timesing by 4, okay? So we've got 2x plus 5 is equal to 6 multiplied by 4, which is 24. And then we're going to be subtracting this 5 here. 24 minus 5 is 19. And we have a fraction as an answer here. We have x is equal to 19 over 2. And we could change that if we wanted to 9.5. Okay, but it's not essential. You wouldn't lose marks in a test unless the test told you to give your answer as a mixed number. Okay, any questions on those? No, okay then.
Yeah, I have a question. The last one is just trying to understand it. How do you get that 2x plus 5 is equals to 24? I didn't understand it clearly. If you can explain it clearly again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
So the 24 comes from timesing both sides by 4. 6 multiplied by 4 is 24.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then the 2x plus 5 is what's left on here. So I've times both sides of this. I've times this whole thing by 4, sorry.
Okay.
And I've times this whole thing by 4. So everything we do to one side of the equation, we must do the same thing to the other side of the equation. Okay, it's all about keeping everything balanced. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to do, in fact, I might move on to some more. I wanted to move on to do some forming equations, because I think that's just got a little bit more interesting. So in your exam, you will probably get questions where you're actually being asked to form your own equations as well. So I'm just going to spend the last 10 minutes or so doing some of that. So forming an equation we could do from an expression like this, some writing like this. I think of a number. You've probably played these games when you were younger, okay? I think of a number, I add 3 and then I divide it by 2, and my answer is 12. Form an equation and solve it to find my number. Now, lots of you could probably think about how you would work backwards to figure out what the number was. Okay, I think of a number, I add 3, then I divide it by 2, and my answer is 12. What are you going to do to think about that number is? Well, you're going to work backwards. So you're going to say, well, from 12, I'll start by multiplying by 2, then I'll subtract 3, and then I'll find the number that was originally thought of. That's how you would find that number. And that's exactly what you're going to do. But in the exam, you have this bit to deal with as well, this form an equation. And so when we're forming an equation, we're simply going to choose a letter. The most common letter that most people will choose is X. Okay, you don't have to choose X, but it tends to be the number that mathematicians like to use. So we'll go with X. Okay, so I think of a number, that section there is just X is my number. I don't know what it is yet. Then I'm going to do this bit. I add 3. Okay, so that X I'm going to add 3 to. Then I'm going to divide that by 2. Now I need to divide everything by 2. I'm going to divide all of it by 2. And my answer is 12. Okay, so that is the equation that you have formed. And then you would have to solve it to find the number. So to solve it, we'll do the exact same method that we've just been doing, which is essentially working backwards. We've divided it by 2, so we need to multiply by 2. So we've got X plus 3 is equal to 12 times 2, which is 24. And then we're going to get rid of this plus 3 by subtracting 3. Minus 3 from both sides. X is equal to 21. And maybe some of you thought, okay, the number that was thought of was 21. Maybe you could figure that out before you formed the equation. But in an exam, if you see the words form an equation, you're going to need to write this to get your full marks, okay? So really important that you're able to form an equation from this kind of thing. In fact, oh, sorry, I'm just, there we go.
I've got a question.
Yes.
We with the solving equation with fractions, you said that we should multiply both sides by whatever number we have got in the denominator. But if we're saying 2 times 2, that is 4, isn't it?
Did I make a mistake with the last one?
No, I'm just trying to double check that, like, if we're multiplying, since X plus 3 is over 2 and we need to multiply both sides by that 2.
So we had X plus 3 over 2 equals 12, didn't we? Is that right? Yes. So yes, we need to multiply both sides by 2. So multiplying this side by 2 would just get rid of that divided by 2, because dividing by 2, multiplying by 2 cancel each other out.
Okay.
So that's why we're left with X plus 3 on this side.
All right.
And then 12 times 2 is 24 on this side. Does that answer your question? Was it this side?
That- Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the reason why we choose to times by 2 is so that we get rid of this divide by 2.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know how to remove that. If I double a number and add 9, I get the same answer as if I multiply the number by 5. So again, we're going to form an equation for this statement here. So if I double a number and add 9, I get the same answer as if I multiply that number by 5. So again, we're going to choose a value, we'll choose a letter, and again, we'll probably choose X because we're mathematicians. And I double a number. So doubling is the same as multiplying by 2. So if I take my X that I've chosen, that's my number I didn't know, and I times it by 2, that's double. And adding 9, okay, that is this bit here. So I double a number and add 9 is going to be this expression here, 2x plus 9. And then I get the same answer as if I multiply the number by 5. So that means I've got the same number. So I'm going back to my X that I started with, but this time I'm multiplying it by 5. If I multiply a number by 5, it's going to be 5x. And here it says I get the same answer. So that should be a hint that we put these two things equal to each other. And our equation that we're going to have to solve is 2x plus 9 is equal to 5x. Now, we did solving equations with x on both sides last time. So if you weren't here last time, this might be new to you. But the hint that we discussed, the main thing that you need to do when you solve an equation with x on both sides is to remove the smaller x first. Okay, so if I subtract 2x from this side, and if I subtract 2x from this side, they cancel out. So they kind of go. Then I've got 9 here. And then on this side, I've got 5x minus 2x, which is 3x. And then I've got 3 times x here, and I want to have just x. So to get rid of that 3 times x, I'm going to divide by the 3. Dividing by the 3 cancels it out on this side. So I'm just left with x here. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So the correct answer was x equals 3. And we can go back and check. If I double a number and add 9, so if I do 3 times 2 plus 9, that's 15. I get the same answer as if I multiply that number by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So always go back and check, does your answer make sense when you've done it, okay? Any other questions on those? Oh. So that's a bit of forming and solving equations. Other types of forming equations that you might get, or you often get in an exam, are from shape. So you might have something, you might be given something like a rectangle. And this says the perimeter of the rectangle below is 42 centimeters. Calculate the lengths of the sides by forming an equation and solving it. So really important that you know how to find the perimeter of a rectangle. Perimeter, we haven't done shape yet. That's going to be in quite a few sessions time, but hopefully you understand perimeter means around the outside of a shape. So you're going to take the 4 sides of the rectangle and you're going to add them together like this. And we know that it's a rectangle, so we know that this side is equal to this side. So I can write x plus 5 up here because I know they're the same. I also know that this side is equal to this side. So I know that this side is x minus 2. This side must also be x minus 2. And so to find the perimeter of this, I'm going to add all of those sides together. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it the long way. I'm going to do, okay, x plus 5. I'm going to put brackets around as well. It's not necessarily essential to put brackets when we're doing a question like this, but it's good practice to always put brackets around any algebraic expression that you're working with. So this plus this one, that's x minus 2, plus x plus 5 plus x minus 2 is equal to, so that's our perimeter. We're going to add all four sides together. And then that's equal to 42. We're told that the perimeter is 42 centimeters. Now in a test, you have already got your marks. We've got some marks for forming. This is an equation. It's not an equation in its simplest form, but it is an equation. So you have formed the equation. You've done this bit. To solve it, we will need to simplify. We can't solve the equation like this. We need to simplify it. So we did a little bit of work on simplifying algebraic expressions. I think in one of the first sessions we did. We need to take all our x's and add them together. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 x's. That's 4x. And then we can simplify our numbers as well. Remember to look not just at the number, but at the sign as well. A number always has a sign. So it's either positive, like this positive 5, or negative, like this negative 2. So we've got plus 5 minus 2, so that's 3, plus the number 5 minus another 2, so that should be 6. Yeah, that's 6. 4x plus 6 is equal to 42. Are we following? Is that okay? And now we can solve it just like we solved our linear equations before. So we're going to unwrap this x. Imagine it's in a parcel wrapped up by these things. Inside layer is this, so we can't take that off until we've taken this outside layer. So the outside layer is plus 6. We're going to subtract 6 then from both sides. 42 minus 6 is 36. So 4x is equal to 36. And then the final thing we have to do is to divide by the 4. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. And the answer is x equals 9. There. Okay. And the question actually said calculate the lengths of the sides. So now that we know that x equals 9, we can put that back in here. X plus 5, so that's 9 plus 5 on this side is equal to 14 centimeters. And x is 9, so this width is going to be 9 minus 2 is equal to 7 centimeters. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about that one? They have a little bit more tricky.
I have a question. How do you get the 4x plus 6? How do you get the 6?
So the 6 is from these numbers. So plus 5 minus 2 plus 5 minus 2. So we literally are just going to do that bit of maths. 5 minus 2 plus 5 minus 2. Which is 6, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I got a question.
yeah.
How did you get 9? Did you divide? Yeah, how did you get 9? Because weren't we supposed, did you isolate the 4x and then take the 6 over to the other side where you'd have 42 minus 6?
Yes. Yeah.
Which
So
would be 36.
yeah.
And then 4 divided by both sides. So 4 divided by 36.
36 divided by 4. We're dividing both sides by 4.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Please do ask questions because it really does help clear things up. Okay. All right. So I am going to stop it there because we've just got 2 minutes left. I think some of you, if you're struggling a little bit with the basic solving equations, apart from obviously me making silly mistakes, I apologize for that. Do try and go back, do watch that video from last time because hopefully that will help. we did a lot of work on this kind of work here where we just solved basic linear equations. So hopefully if you go back and watch that, then rewatch tonight's video, hopefully it will help make a little bit more sense. Okay. But does anyone have any other questions on tonight's video? No? Once again, I did have a slide with lots of practice questions and the answers, so I can ask Robin to put them on the forum for you, so you've got some practice questions to do. If anyone does have any other questions, please do make sure you utilize the forum, ask the questions on there, and then we can get them answered for you. Okay.